All right, guys, it's Jahlon, and today we're going to be talking about punctuation and how it has become aggressive and racist. Now, this one comes from my Twitch show. Any viewer spends 50,000 channel points, I will do a segment of their choosing. So what we have here is we have the discussion that texting doesn't need periods. What we have here is, why do people think texts that end with periods are aggressive? I thought that was just the correct way to end a sentence. And the person who replies uses no periods, because we have the idea that certain types of punctuation come off as rude in casual communication, text-based communication, but casual conversation. So as you see, in an exchange of two people, the only piece of punctuation here is the question mark, because it's asking a question. I still don't understand, if you don't need periods, why you would need a question mark, because what it says here is each idea is contained in its own distinct bubble. So periods aren't necessary to indicate that a message has ended. Well, if you're going to say that, is the question mark even necessary? Because wouldn't you know it was a question? Who was that guy at the bar last night? Unless, of course, you're going to do the thing that says who was the guy, like who's on first, Abbott and Costello. The other one is, I guess it's okay to have periods if you're going to put two sentences in one bubble, which is what young people have to understand. Us older people who got the first generation of phones that had texting on them, we did not have unlimited texting. This conversation right here would have cost you 80 cents. Each text message you got was a dime. Each text message you sent was a dime. So that's why older people like to send longer texts, because it's just what we're used to. We would fill up the entire 180 characters to send one text, to cost ourselves one dime and to cost you one dime. But it goes further than this, that the periods aren't even actually necessary. We get to the point where young people don't trust people who use this punctuation mark. The punctuation problem ignited over social media, with Generation Z and Millennials agreeing ending a sentence with a period is overly hostile. Overly hostile? Are you kidding me? A period is overly hostile? Now, I could see if you say the word period, like, you will be home by 10 o'clock, period. I could see that as hostile, but just the period means full stop. So if the period is hostile, what's the exclamation point? And what's 2 exclamation points or 5 exclamation points on a message? But this goes even further to say, in a study of 126 undergraduates at Birmingham University, they found that texts containing periods were perceived as insincere. Now, how does a period make your message insincere? Oh, can't be having good grammar and stuff, can't be having good punctuation. That person doesn't really mean it. I would think that a period would indicate more sincerity because you took the time to write in proper English. But it goes even further. What we have here is, texting is lacking many of the social cues used in actual face-to-face conversation. When speaking, people easily convey social and emotional information with eye gaze, facial expressions, tone of voice, and pauses. People obviously can't use these mechanisms when they are texting, so they use things like emotions, deliberate misspellings that mimic speech sounds, according to our data punctuation. Okay, I want to remind people, have you looked at a group of teenagers or young people lately? They'll be face-to-face and they don't even know how to have face-to-face communications because they don't. What they do is they sit on their phones and they will actually text somebody that's sitting right next to them. I have witnessed this phenomenon thousands of times. Or what they do is they are in a group and the only time they interact with each other is when they show their phone to the other person. And you can see literally every kid in this picture has a phone and is either on their own phone or being shown something. So I think the more important thing for us to identify as parents, teachers, educators, is children are losing the ability to know how to even have a face-to-face conversation. So if they're going to retreat to text-only conversation, we need to teach them that the period is not hostile. Well, where does racism come in? And this gets even worse. The racial politics of grammar correction. There is a professor named Val Rust, says he's just trying to help students, but the students feel that it's inappropriate for a professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, to correct grammar and punctuation in students' assignments. Now, call me crazy, and I know I've been out of college for 20 years, but I was under the impression that you took English 101 and English 102 on every degree so that you would know how to do this crazy thing called write at the collegiate level. And this just isn't the collegiate level. I want to let people know that this thing with Professor Rust correcting punctuation and spelling errors on that creates a climate for students of color that is unsafe. It creates a hostile and toxic environment in the classroom. These are people studying for their master's degrees and their doctorates. These are not freshmen and sophomores in college that have come out of a bad area, that have come out of a bad high school, that are working really hard at the college level. These are people getting graduate, postgraduate, and doctoral degrees who are claiming having their punctuation and grammar mistakes corrected is creating a toxic, unsafe climate. As we move forward, this gets even worse. There are grievances over matters of grammar and punctuation that are seemed as designed to keep young people with brown skin disaffected and resentful, and whenever possible in ignorance and poverty. I want to point out that if you can't properly write, you can't properly spell, you can't properly conjugate a sentence, you are ignorant. That is what the word ignorant means. We have to stop being afraid of using the word ignorant because everybody takes it as an insult. How much do I know about astrophysics? Nothing. I'm pretty ignorant about astrophysics, and I don't view that as an insult. But what happens is it gets really worse here is because it moves into racism with these basic skills and others, including foresight and punctuality, are apparently white values, and expectations thereof constitute cultural racism. I don't know about you, but the idea of punctuality isn't a white value. It's a business value. It's a professionalism value. And if you know anything about one of the greatest collegiate and professional football coaches of American history, Vince Lombardi, if you are 5 minutes early, you're already 10 minutes late. Because to be on time was to be 15 minutes early. To be on time was to be late. And to be late was to be finished with his program. Now, I get it that this all stems from, there's a lot of overtones of racism. There's a lot of underlying racism. What I want to say is this. If you're against the punctuation being corrected on the doctoral or master's degree programs, do you have a master's degree or do you have a PhD? Because I have a master's in education and my dissertation was corrected for grammar because you have to, they want you to pursue publishing it. But I think we have a huge generational problem here with a period being a form of aggression, correcting punctuation being a form of racism. This is our society just getting completely out of control. If you disagree with me, leave a comment below. If you agree with me, leave a comment below. And if you like really good DMCA free music, you'll notice over there is PGN Music. All the music you hear on my shows all belongs to me. If you need to use DMCA free jazz or orchestra or something else, check out that channel and subscribe to it. It does me a big favor. And subscribe to this channel too. This channel isn't growing. I will talk to you next time when somebody brings me something good out of one of my Twitch shows.